Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Easter conference. It's wonderful to see you, and we're very happy to have Chicago and Minneapolis on telephone feed throughout this class, and then the many, many angels who have come from far-off worlds to be a part of this wonderful convocation. I'd like to give you a little bit of background concerning CYCLOPEA and his divine complement, Virginia. If we have all of these teachings in mind when we hear tonight's dictation, we will be building upon a vast foundation of teachings given to us by CYCLOPEA from the very inception of the Summit Lighthouse in 1958. As you know, CYCLOPEA and Virginia are the Elohim of the fifth ray. Elohim is a plural name for God. We find it in Genesis 1:26 when God said, "Let us make man in our image and likeness." And so Elohim created us as male and female, the plus and minus polarity of Alpha and Omega. So this is the creation of God. And in the creation of God, there is the great causal body that you see behind me, the spheres of light, and the white fire center is our point of origin in the great central sun. This is where we were created by Elohim. God sent us forth to manifest his perfection, and through the compromise in Eden, for a simple expression and explanation of the events, we went from immortality to mortality. And so today we are veiled in veils of flesh, and we have not our immortality save for the threefold flame that burns on the altar of our hearts. What is immortal about us is the threefold flame. What is mortal about us is that we can deny that flame, and through anger and aggressive tendencies, we may snuff it out and lose it altogether. So you might say that the threefold flame is on loan to us from our Father, Mother, God, and the great central sun, and we can use it to expand the power, wisdom, and love of God in our life. We can use it to bring forth the tremendous action of the will of God, the action of illumination, the action of active love through the Holy Spirit. So it is a trinity of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and the white sphere at the base of this flame denotes the mother flame, our own base chakra as well. Some who went forth from Elohim and the great central sun have lost their threefold flame long ago. Some have been drawn away and apart into darkness by fallen angels. And so the battle of Armageddon has been waged ever since Maitreya's mystery school and long before. We are engaged in that warfare today, and we wage it on behalf of our own souls and on behalf of billions of souls on this planet. We must remember, and it is something that many religions are nebulous about, but it is true, as it says in Scripture, "The soul that sinneth, it shall die." People in general tend to think that the soul is the permanent part of being, but the soul is not permanent until she attains full bonding to the Holy Christ self and to the Sacred Heart of Jesus Christ. Why Jesus Christ rather than Gautama Buddha? Simply because the Father, Mother, God chose Jesus, and he accepted that assignment to draw us all back to the point of our immortality. We will hear about immortality more in my lecture on Daniel and Nada Rayborn. So Elohim, our Father, Mother to us on the 7 rays and even on the 5 secret rays. They perform the functions of the 7 rays and the functions of the 5 secret rays. The 5 Dhyani Buddhas are under those 5 Elohim of the 5 secret rays. So our Elohim are the manifest presence of God throughout the matter and the spirit universe. We are grateful for their presence, and we understand that we hold in our hands the key to the making of our souls to be immortal. We have come to this conference to sip of the cup of our immortality. That cup of immortality is the sacred fire that is released to us through the dictations of the Ascended Masters and the Elohim and the archangels, and very recently ascended sons and daughters of God. And so increment by increment, as we come to the 4 quarterly conferences, we meet the cycles of the year, and we are able to offer calls for violet flame transmutation, as well as calls for the making permanent of that threefold flame and of that soul that is within us. And this is the homeward trek. This is the path. Walk ye in it. This is what God has left for us and taught to us. We are dealing this evening then with the Elohim of the 5th ray. This is the emerald green ray. This ray produces God's science, truth, abundance, and healing. When we want to work with those concepts, those manifestations of God, we call not only to the Elohim of the 5th ray, but also to the Archangel and Archai, Raphael and Mother Mary, and to the Blessed Healer Hilarion, and millions of legions of angels who serve on that ray. Cyclopeia is sometimes referred to as the Great Silent Watcher. Cyclopeia and all hosts of light who serve under him use the power of the all-seeing eye of God to accomplish their tremendous work on behalf of the evolutions of the matter universe. Some students of the Ascended Masters have mistakenly referred to Cyclopeia as the all-seeing eye of God. It is as though someone would refer to you as the third eye simply because you have a third eye center here. Cyclopeia embodies the all-seeing eye of God, but he is much more than the all-seeing eye of God. They also embody many other powers associated with their service through the all-seeing eye. Cyclopeia has told us that the eye of God is an eye of light and has the power to draw and coalesce together, to focalize energy. On December 29th, 1969, Cyclopeia said, speaking through Mark Prophet, "I am holding in the perfection of my eye of light the very beautiful image of salvation and deliverance for every one of you." It doesn't matter if you were not even born in 1969. Cyclopeia made that promise, and he will keep it until the scroll is rolled up and we find ourselves in the octaves of immortality. It is well to ponder and to look through the teachings of the beings of the 5th ray and then to apply them. The 5th ray is a ray of precipitation. It brings into material manifestation. It materializes spiritual presences, spiritual concepts, magnificent spiritual geometric plans for the earth and many other planetary systems. Cyclopeia said on that occasion, "I represent the cosmic mind of God. I hold the immaculate concept for humanity's victory. We do not care what humanity has created in past ages. We are concerned with the fulfillment of the divine plan today." What is Cyclopeia saying? He is saying it doesn't matter how much you have erred or strayed or sinned or how much karma you have made. All of that is the unreal part of you. All of that we cast into the flame. We are affirming your victory today. When you have an Elohim backing you for your victory, nothing can stop you except yourself. No one can stop you when you are determined to have that victory and you are sponsored by Elohim, by God itself. On July 5th, 1970, Cyclopeia gave us his vision of the future and the city four square. He said, "I have been charged with the responsibility of carrying the single-eyed vision of the Almighty for this system of worlds." How vast the system of worlds is he is contemplating, I cannot say, but because Elohim is Elohim, I would suspect that he is including the entire matter cosmos in this Manvantara. I have come to tell you that mine eye has seen glory. The all-seeing eye of God beholds glory, and therefore we can behold the glory that eye reflects to us here below. I see being born this very hour and in days to come, children of light descending from higher octaves to bring assistance to those who travail to bring in the golden age. They shall come forth because dedicated sons of flame already here, who have pledged to support their mission, will pray daily for their victory, protection, and their insulation from evil forces. I see the spreading abroad of the word of God. I see the two-edged sword of truth cleaving asunder the darkness from the light. I see going forth from this focus sons and daughters of light who will establish centers of light. I see groups of light springing up across the face of the earth. I see the cooperation of angels, elementals, and men. I see universities of the Spirit now already in session in the octaves of light, taking form in the world. These remarks were made by CYCLOPEA 3 years before the messengers opened the Ascended Master University in Santa Barbara, which preceded Summit University. I see freedom rising as a gigantic flame to consume pornography and all forms of perversion. We shall see come to pass the glory of the divine vision of that blueprint, and never shall there be any more darkness and despair. CYCLOPEA focused the vision of the city four square within our third eye and reminded us, do not forget the vision, for by the vision we conquer. If you can't see it, you can't manifest it. Vision is very important. Draw a sketch of what you see and what you want to precipitate. That's why we do treasure mapping. We put on a map what we want to see come into physical manifestation. If our concept is fuzzy, the product will be fuzzy. By vision we conquer. This is why we give the decree to CYCLOPEA to increase the power of our own third eye and its perception. CYCLOPEA spoke again of his vision for the city four square in 1976. He said the all-seeing eye of God will precipitate the city four square. It is the manifest reality in the etheric plane. The etheric plane is the plane of substance, of foreverness, of immortality, and of light. It is the place of solidity, whereas this world in its matter material state is always in a state of disintegration and decay, going through cycles upon cycles upon cycles. The challenge then comes to the Chilas of the Ascended Masters to have the courage to call the city four square with all of its inner God design into the mental and feeling worlds and into the physical plane. We know that in the retreat of the Divine Mother over this property, there is the manifestation of the city four square. Each time we bring love and wisdom and the will of God into our lives, each time we sow seeds for the accomplishment of our goals, we then are bringing into the physical plane some element of the city four square, whether it is music, architecture, great cathedrals, the light of the Divine Mother, the angels coming and going, the presence of the Lord Christ, and so on. Several dictations by CYCLOPEA and Virginia have mentioned the capstone on the pyramid. This is the pyramid of our civilization, the same pyramid that you see on the dollar bill. In July 1975, CYCLOPEA placed at the etheric level the capstone of the all-seeing eye upon the pyramid, the four sides of the temple of being in matter. He said this etheric blueprint of the all-seeing eye is the key to the proper functioning of the third eye chakra. We must have the capstone placed on the pyramid of our civilization. CYCLOPEA placed the blueprint of the all-seeing eye on the third eye of all who would hear or read his word, as well as upon the pyramid of America. This means, and as I am focusing now and speaking to you, I can feel the pressing in on my own third eye chakra of the very thing that I'm reading to you. CYCLOPEA placing the blueprint of the all-seeing eye on the third eye chakra of all who would hear or read his word. You are hearing, and you can read this because it is in Pearls of Wisdom. And so as you place your attention on Cyclopeia during this reading, you can feel an intensity of that third eye. You can mentally call to Cyclopeia and ask for the clearing of the third eye, that it might be a repository of what is real and what is the divine plan for the earth. It is through that third eye that we hold the immaculate concept for one another. Through our third eye, we can behold the vision of everyone we know, no matter what problems we have with any individual, whether in our families or in our workplace, in businesses, people whom we meet. If we hold the all-seeing eye of God as the focus for that immaculate concept, we can bring about change. We can also guard against entering into argumentation, just by going back to what is real about the person that we are speaking with. That person could be ranting and raving, and you could be quietly listening and directing from your third eye, through the Holy Christ self of that individual, the perfect divine plan for that one. And you can be giving that to someone with such profound love and devotion for the liberation of their soul that they would receive it through the Holy Christ self and actually be transformed, because you decided not to engage with their lower nature, but only to bless and heal, to bless and heal, and bless and heal. In 1980, Cyclopeia said that he was assembling the components of the capstone, souls who would be fused as one body and become as fixed stars in the firmament of God's all-seeing eye. When I hear the term fixed stars, I think of those angels of light and souls of light who carry on a mission and stay with that mission until God calls them to another level. They do not tire of sameness. They do not tire of performing the same tasks day after day. They become as fixed stars in the firmament of God's all-seeing eye, so that they might direct a beacon to the earth, and many beacons. And as that beacon shines on a city or a town or a household, the divine plan for that group of individuals will manifest, because these fixed stars, who will be many of you when you are ascended, or when you go out into the retreats at night, or go to the retreat of Hilarion or Raphael and Mother Mary, or the retreat of Elohim when we are invited. And so when you can direct by a beam of light from your third eye, through the Holy Christ self, the divine plan for nations and cities, you will see major changes in the earth. We are gathered at this Easter conference because we are determined to see the fulfillment of a golden age. We have heard Zadkiel tell us there are two options. Either we go up in the Aquarian age and have a golden age civilization, or there is utter desolation and chaos on planet Earth. We have decided what the outcome will be, and we have put our money where our mouth is, as they say. We have come to the altar of God for alchemical change, for the precipitation of what is to be on this planet. To do this, we know we must engage with the archangels in a warfare against darkness and fallen angels. We are also prepared to do that. We are determined that this golden age will be an age of enlightenment, peace, and freedom. Cyclopeia told us in 1980 that this has not been accomplished in 12,000 years except in the Ascended Master octaves. This assembling of the components of the capstone and souls who make themselves fused as one body in the all-seeing eye. Cyclopeia said, what matters is that keepers of the flame make their vow not only to be the eye of God, but to provide the capstone, glistening white, a miniature pyramid that must complete the great pyramid of lives, of community, of Earth's initiatory steps, ere the whole foundation can transcend itself and pass through the open door. And that open door is the open door to immortality and eternal life and the etheric octave, which is the heaven world. In 1989, CYCLOPEA and Virginia announced that the capstone had been placed upon the Pyramid of America and explained the meaning of the all-seeing eye in the capstone. CYCLOPEA did this because there were sufficient souls in this nation and on this continent who could make up that capstone. It is the place where those dwelling in the unascended state meet those who come from the ascended octaves. If you can see an inverted pyramid coming this way and then a descending pyramid that is inverted, and then the rising pyramid, you will see the rising pyramid represents the matter universe and the descending pyramid represents the descending spirit universe. And so the point of meeting is like the point in the center of an hourglass, as you could see an inverted pyramid touching the top of an ascending pyramid. So through that point that is the opening, single souls ascend. We always ascend alone. And as we go through that capstone from the matter universe to the spirit universe, we receive the royal robes of our ascension. CYCLOPEA and Virginia said that America is the designated place for this convergence. Here there will no longer be separation in the mystical body of God. The mystical body of God is composed of all souls of light who are weaving their deathless solar body, who are the ones who already are clothed in white raiment at inner levels. They may be sitting next to you here or in any church or in any place in the world, but these are the souls who are preparing for their ascension. They are the ones who then make up the mystical body of God. CYCLOPEA and Virginia also explained that Mark Prophet pioneered the way for us when he began to ascend the spiral staircase of the pyramid, step by step. On the foundation of the early ashram notes and the pearls of wisdom and in the footprints of the messenger, CYCLOPEA was able to send forth a beacon in the physical octave by which the light bearer could ascend to that place of the capstone in the Great Pyramid. CYCLOPEA and Virginia said, "Every dictation on the Only Mark albums from the beginning to the end is a landmark, representing a single footstep of your beloved Mark, clearing this pathway for your souls to reach the all-seeing eye of God." And believe me, he did meet much adversity in that climb. He was the lone pioneer. And truly he was alone when I met him in 1961. And all who have followed after him have been able to arrive at that place of the third eye. Mark's footprints were the original footprints in the sand and in the snow. Every one of you cycling upward to the capstone has placed your footprint in his. Those quotes are from a dictation of December 17th, 1989. In 1984, CYCLOPEA and Virginia told us what can happen if we do not remember to ratify the dispensations the Ascended Masters have given us. A dispensation is a grant of energy, just as though you would take a loan from the bank. A grant of energy that is given to you in advance to do good on behalf of the people of Earth. So to have a dispensation is a wonderful gift, but not to use it to its fullest means that we have compromised the dispensation. They reminded us of the dispensation of the golden chain mail given 20 years earlier in a dictation by God Meru on July 26, 1964. CYCLOPEA and Virginia said, "Long ago the warning went forth to make the call for the golden chain mail, to keep separate the astral and physical planes. The astral plane is a lower level. The astral plane is always connected with the lower octaves of death and hell. The astral plane is unclean and full of unclean spirits. The astral plane connects to the physical plane." So he is saying, long ago the warning went forth to make the call for the golden chain mail to keep separate the astral and physical planes as that protection that would be given to the planetary body as that armor of light would be draped from shrine to shrine, from the Christ of the Andes and from the statue of Jesus in Rio de Janeiro and many others. Beloved ones, all of the mighty monuments of earth were used to focus and hold that golden chain mail to protect the physical plane from the eruption into it of the hordes of the astral. The hordes are the demons and discarnates that are on the astral plane. I remember very well when this dispensation was given, and I remember how it looked. It looked like a giant curtain composed of gold in tiny little rings, like you would see on the armor of a knight. And this golden chain mail was draped all over the earth, from the highest buildings and monuments. The entire planet was draped in this golden chain mail. This dictation was given very early in this activity. There were not enough devotees to call it forth. Hence, the golden chain mail was not strong enough or fortified enough by embodied individuals decreeing to hold back the astral deluge. And therefore what ensued was the breaking into the physical octave of all manner of demons of insanity, rock music, the drug culture, depravity, murder, mayhem, and further wars. And so it has come about that that period before the 60s, which was relatively innocent and harmless by comparison to that which followed, has never returned because of the spilling over into the physical octave and hence the mental body of all of these astral forms of depravity. What we see is there was truly the spilling over all the earth of all of the astral debris and the darkness out of the pit and out of this astral plane. Once we have spilled milk, we have spilled milk. You can't mop up the entire planet of astral influences. And so, not having that protection that was given to us in that dispensation, and it is understandable because this organization was very young at that time, had very few members, and those who were a part of it worked very hard in their decrees for the protection of the planet so that the astral plane would not become physical. A recurrent theme in CYCLOPEA's dictations is the need to guard our spiritual vision against the misuses of the third eye. CYCLOPEA has warned of the dangers of thought forms and subliminal advertising which come through the media, advertising, modern art, television, and the motion picture industry. In 1970, CYCLOPEA said, "Guard your vision and do not let your temple be assailed by the horrendous thought forms that come through the media, through the television, through movies." In 76, CYCLOPEA reminded us, the all-seeing eye of God in each one, in each third eye center, must be rescued and restored to the virgin consciousness. The virgin consciousness is seeing clearly what is the original blueprint, what is the best part of a person, seeing the Holy Christ self, seeing the angels, refusing to acknowledge evil as having any power over any individual, including yourself. This does not mean that you do not engage in discernment, discerning the spirits, trying the spirits. It does not mean that you simply neglect to see the reality of exactly where an individual is. You can assess someone at their present state of human consciousness and then immediately call to the Holy Christ self for their divine plan to descend upon them. And reinforce that daily. The wonderful thing about dynamic decrees is that when we make the call, we can make the call for 5.5 billion souls or whatever the population is on planet Earth. That call will not be diluted. Every single person on this planet, in answer to your call, will have a blessing from angels of God and archangels whom you send by making those calls and sending the angels to help people. So we must understand how to maximize our decrees and have the full faith in the power of our mighty I Am Presence to whom we call every time we decree. The full faith that that I Am Presence will deliver to every single soul on earth what that soul is able to receive and hold in his own chakras, in his own 4 lower bodies. This is so important because we must not be discouraged. We must not be discouraged at seeing the way the world is going or the way the youth is going. God has empowered us, and that empowerment is at the altar of God, and it is not a physical power, it is a spiritual power. And the more you decree, the more you develop a tremendous momentum on your decree work. I remember the tremendous momentum that Clara Louise Kinninger, who is now ascended, the ascended Lady Master Clara Louise, and she was the first mother of the flame, and she stayed in our home when our first child was born, and I knew her for many, many years. And she would decree from 4 or 5 in the morning till 9 or 10 in the morning, daily, day in, day out, and did it for 30 and 40 years before she took her ascension. And when she made a fiat, it was instantaneously manifest. I remember one day I had a cold, and she said, "What are you doing having that cold?" And she made a fiat that that cold should leave me, and it left me on the spot. That is the power of momentum, the tremendous momentum that you can build by not missing your daily decrees. I have seen that myself in the many years that I have been decreeing since 1961. I see how we build momentum, and then when someone needs our momentum, we can give that momentum because we have our light sealed in our upper chakras. And so the light can flash forth instantaneously. You can do that. You have the time from today to the rest of your life to build such a momentum of sacred fire that when you give a fiat, the devils tremble and the seraphim come and the earth is changed. So the rescuing and restoring to the virgin consciousness is entirely possible. CYCLOPEA implored us not to allow our children to sit in front of the television set. He said, "You have no idea what is funneling into their subconscious. Have you not noticed that these precious children, even after a half hour or an hour of watching television, are changed in their attitude? They become rebellious even against the teachings of the ascended masters with which they are well familiar." CYCLOPEA said it was absolutely necessary to make invocations for the arresting of the spirals of all energy that is a misuse of the action of the all-seeing eye of God. He asked us to decree together specifically for the binding of the fallen angels and the reversing of the tide of every aspect of their media manipulation and their programming of the people. He said, "Above all, I ask you to make calls for the clearing of the pollution of the subconscious as well as for the clearing of the pollution of the astral bodies, of the people and of the mental plane and the physical plane." CYCLOPEA and Virginia have reminded us that Easter is the time of year when we should determine that putting on the fullness of our Christhood, increment by increment and day by day, is our sole reason for being. If you think you are human and not good enough to put on your Christhood, you are being subjected to the demons who are moving against you to take you from your victory. You do not have to be a perfected being before you call for these blessings and these dispensations. Call for them now. Transform your world, transform yourself, and let your children feel the rippling currents that flow through you. They said that we have been called by Jesus many times and in many ways to become the Christ, and that we must attain fusion with our holy Christ self. Nothing is more important, because until we do so, we do not have immortal life. They said, "Seek to be Christ-like. Keep with you your Bible at your bedside, a copy of the book, The Imitation of Christ, by Thomas à Kempis." They advised us to read at least a few words of this book before we fall asleep so that we will be God-taught in the hours of rest. We have to set the sail of our ship when we go out of our bodies at night. We should go to sleep with exalted thoughts and profound prayer and determination to be where we must be in the retreats or to be on the battle lines with Archangel Michael, defending oppressed peoples anywhere on earth. CYCLOPEA has given much teaching on the power of Decree 50.05 to CYCLOPEA. He has told us we can multiply and maximize our calls by the action of the all-seeing eye. The action of CYCLOPEA through this decree is for the exposure of the truth and the exposure of the lie in government, the economy, society, and within the human heart. CYCLOPEA told us to call for the power of vision when we get the prompting that all is not well. When you get a prompting that all is not well, give a fiat. Give it to CYCLOPEA. Call for Cyclopea's all-seeing eye on whatever the problem is, even if you haven't diagnosed it. But never, never, never fail to make the call, either when you are prompted to make the call or when it's obvious that a call is necessary to rescue someone from some situation. Cyclopea said, when you receive the prompting that all is not well and you have a perception, do not deny it, but make the call for the power of vision and the crystal ray. And then there will come to light what is the problem. In New York on October 27, 1990, Cyclopea offered to intercede to heal an economy and a city through our decrees to him. He explained that there is a crisis of catastrophic proportions in the economy of which you are seeing but the beginning. Cyclopea said, I promise you this, if you will take the decree to Cyclopea and give it 40 times daily for 40 days without skipping a day, I will show you the limits to which Elohim may go to revive and rejuvenate and heal an economy and a city. In January 1982, Cyclopea instructed us on the importance of concentration during our decrees. He said, when you offer the dynamic decree, you must be absolutely concentrated in the point of the vision of that for which you call. Your mind cannot wander all over the place. You cannot have a yin mind when you are going to focus that third eye chakra. Therefore, discipline yourself. Observe your mind when you are saying the words that you know by heart. Where is your mind wandering? Pull it back. Focus it on the image. Have a clear image in front of you when you begin your cyclopeas. Know what you want to precipitate into manifestation. Your Holy Christ Self will do it. The elementals will carry through your orders. He recommended that we study the book Prayer and Meditation by Jesus and Kuthumi for the purpose of learning to be centered and absolutely one-pointed. In their dictations, Cyclopea and Virginia have stressed the importance of simple exercises and mantras for our protection and harmony and for the expansion of the light. For instance, in 1979, Cyclopea and the Silent Watchers told us they meditate upon the eye of God as the focal point of the inner blueprint. They asked us to join them in this meditation at least once in each 24 hours. They said by 15 seconds of attention upon the eye of God, you lower into your physical dimension our momentum of meditation upon the inner blueprint and transfer the current of the great central sun to energize the perfect outpicturing of your divine plan. It is your responsibility to outpicture your divine plan. No one is going to do it for you. You're going to wind up at the end of this life either with a pile of bricks or a celestial city foursquare. If you're organized, those bricks will be in place. If you're not, you'll have a heap of bricks to show for it and nothing more. In 1990, Cyclopea and Virginia said, take moments in your day to breathe the sacred fire breath, to give the simple call, to venture outside and take in the wind and the sun and the elements, and blend yourself with the universal Holy Spirit of God. Reacquaint yourself with your reason for being. Cyclopea and Virginia have cautioned us to take care of the physical body and to pay attention to diet. They said you must have a strong and a peaceful force field, an alert mind, a temple that is a fitting habitation of the Holy Spirit in order to complete the requirements for your ascension, in order to pass your initiations, and in order to provide body temples for incoming children. Cyclopea also encouraged us to find those hours in the day when we tend to fail our tests. He said this has to do with the cycles and the sine wave of energy flow in the four lower bodies. To know thyself and to anticipate these cycles will lead to greater victories and less sense of worthlessness. Most of us have a low ebb in the day. Perhaps it's late in the afternoon. Whatever it is, anticipate it. Fortify yourself with right nutrition. Fortify yourself with fiats to God. Go out and be in the sun and the wind and the elements and breathe deeply, and remember that this is when you are subject to not make good decisions, when you are subject to not being totally centered, because the physical body may not be a strong enough chalice. That's why the mind must be strong. Our minds must be sharp, truly sharp, and we must have the intensity of fire and the capacity to deliver it through the third eye. As you know, CYCLOPEA is the Elohim of music and is sponsoring the beautiful music that is coming to us through our messenger of music. In October 73, CYCLOPEA explained that all creation is formed by music. All creation is formed by music. He said music is the geometry of God. Each note has its frequency, its mathematical formula, its color, its healing potential. In March 1988, CYCLOPEA said, "I am determined to save the earth with music." I love it, don't you love it? He continues, "It is the original sound with which earth was endowed in etheric spheres. It is the sound and the hum of a bee or an electron or a child learning his first tune. Music is the melody of the soul that is always in the divine rhythm of love. I will fill all the earth with music, but I must have vessels who contain the sound of our dictations, for on another track they are all music." All of our dictations come as music. We need to start listening with the inner ear to the music of the dictations. We wrap the earth in the swaddling garment of the music of the Divine Mother. May the music of all seven rays be such a peace-commanding presence, such an inspiration that souls may be turned around, galvanized to the original sound that gave them birth, the sound of the chorusing of twin flames and their retinue of angels. CYCLOPEA has stressed the importance of the Friday night Ascension service, he said in October 88. We work diligently through the messenger and yourselves at the Friday night Ascension service that you might have an exorcism that is of ultimate value to your soul. The Friday night service includes our calls for the taking of all those who've passed from the screen of life to their lawful place in other spheres. CYCLOPEA said each Friday night the Elohim sponsor Serapis Bey to give here in this very court some of the most necessary teachings, trainings, and initiations given at Luxor. We must not forget that we are engaged in a process of recreation by Elohim. We are being recreated back into the original image and likeness of God in which we were made. CYCLOPEA said, by being here each Friday night, you submit yourselves to a surgery of cosmic dimensions. The seraphim come, they place their presence over you. How you maintain the vigil each week in the 7-day cycle of initiation, day by day, on the 7 rays, determines what may be given the following week. We can talk about weeks and we can talk about days. We can talk about the prayer we should offer when we go to rest at night. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. Do not carry with you your anger in sleep, or your lesser bodies may engage others with anger. So we have to come to resolution with enemies, with friends, with those known and unknown, whether they are powers, potentates, spiritual wickedness in high places, fallen angels, or friends and relatives, part of our family. We have to make our peace, and we can't take all night doing it because we need our sleep and we need to get to the retreats. So we need to retire with a heart of forgiveness. Some things it appears to be very, very difficult to forgive. I think we've all had knotty problems in our life when we could not forgive. We need to understand that along with the call of forgiveness is the call for divine justice. We always remember that God has said, judgment is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. So God takes care of the justice, but to forgive is ours. We must forgive, and we must know that we can use that judgment call where judgment is necessary, as long as we do not charge it with criticism and condemnation, but only as a vehicle whereby the individual who has wronged us might be liberated from that wrong and be cut free through the very judgment call and the violet flame. So please make your peace with your soul, your God, your holy Christ self, because if you do not do this daily, our God has said we should not come to the altar. He will not receive us at the altar if we have not forgiven our brother, our sister, loved ones, and various others in the world. So let us take that to heart, especially in these days of our Easter service. In December 73, Cyclopeia named some unacceptable conditions of the mortal consciousness. The first is a sense of worthlessness and a sense of limitation. A sense of unworthiness. The first is a sense of unworthiness, and it is not an acceptable state of consciousness. It is below the threefold flame in your heart. It is below the level of your Christ self. If you indulge this, then you will find yourself out of alignment with your higher self. A sense of limitation is not worthy of any of us, for we see the vastness of our causal body, our I Am presence. We are not limited because we missed the right education we should have had, or the this training or the that training. We have the potential to become who we want to become. We do not have a sense of limitation. Limitation is mortality and death. But the greatest danger to the evolution of this planet is pride, spiritual pride, intellectual pride, the belief that man can attain all things without God. That, of course, you know, is the lie of Lucifer. I do not understand spiritual pride because I know that nothing I have or give to you have I done myself. Everything I have and give to you is a gift of God. And therefore, how can I have spiritual pride? It is impossible. Just remember, if you have decrees, if you have a momentum, if you have this teaching, if you know this path, don't have spiritual pride. We are not better than anyone on this earth. Whatever is of good that comes through us, the source is God, and we praise him. In another dictation in 1973, he told us how to overcome selfishness. Overcome by selflessness, for the reward of all selflessness is divine vision. You can only see through a clear pane of glass. Selfishness is really ridiculous when you think of the tremendous rewards of giving of oneself and seeing how the return current from God gives you a multiplied action of energy to once again give and give. Selfishness makes the pain of identity opaque, dark, and you cannot see. Efface the self, and you shall see the murkiness, the density disappear. You shall behold reality. In June 78, Cyclopeia came with a dispensation to assist us in the rescue of souls. He said, "Wherever you go in the name of the Lord Christ for the rescue of a single soul, you will be accompanied by legions of angels of truth. In the very thick of the battle, you may say, in the name of the Lord Christ, I appeal to Almighty God and his emissaries, the lords of karma, to send me reinforcements of truth. I have my shield, helmet, and armor. I will penetrate levels of density in search of souls of light. Your call will instantaneously manifest those reinforcements. And the more you give that call, the more you have a momentum on it, the greater your empowerment to magnetize by the great central sun magnet those reinforcements you need to rescue souls."